No one is above scrutiny. Transparency and equity, hallmark of Buhari's anti-corruption fight. Presidency reassures
We want our
Nigerians.
tertiary institutions to be very, very important, very safe and peaceful learning environments for everyone.
The National Assembly comes down hard on sexual offenders, recommend 14 years imprisonment and establishment of special courts for trial.
3 hours before our flight for local flights, so that all of the protocols can be done and we're able to depart on time.
Plus, coping with COVID-19, correspondent on the aviation sector and the new normal. Good evening. It's nice to have you join us on the Network News at 9. I'm Ian Ray John. With me tonight are Dotun Ogunyemi in Lagos and Mohammed Ibrahim in Maiduguri. President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed Nigeria's appreciation to the People's Republic of China for immensely contributing towards reversing the nation's critical infrastructure deficit. This was at a virtual farewell audience with the outgoing Chinese ambassador to Nigeria, Dr. Zhou Pingjian. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has the report.
During the 4-year tour of duty to Nigeria by the outgoing Chinese envoy, President Muhammadu Buhari had visited China twice, first on a state visit in 2016 at the invitation of President Xi Jinping, and the other for the China-Africa Cooperation Summit in 2018. Although Nigeria and China enjoy bilateral relations spanning 50 years, benefits derived in the last 4 years have been remarkably outstanding. As President Buhari kept emphasizing, the Chinese government interventions in critical infrastructure and other key economic sectors have positively impacted millions of Nigerians and will continue to do so in generations to come. And during this virtual farewell audience with the outgoing Chinese ambassador, Dr. Zhou Pingjian, the president maintained that there is no way a country can move forward if it is hampered by severe deficit in infrastructure. He therefore asked the envoy to formally convey his administration's appreciation to President Xi Jinping for the contributions of China towards reversing the infrastructure deficit in the country. Nigeria, he explained, had suffered a lot in the areas of rail, roads, airports, and power, saying no country can develop in such a situation. China, President Buhari said, had played its role effectively in all the memoranda of understanding signed with Nigeria, and his administration is quite appreciative. The outgoing ambassador, Dr. Zhou Pingjian, had described his tour of duty to Nigeria as highly rewarding and greatly appreciating the government and people of Nigeria. Having visited all the 36 states of the country, the envoy said he had seen the remarkable progress being made under the Buhari administration and expressed confidence in the ability of Nigeria to fly higher. Dr. Pingjian appreciated Nigeria's solidarity with China at critical times, particularly when COVID-19 broke out. The outgoing ambassador said the One China policy is dear to his country and lauded Nigeria for her support. The envoy promised to remain a goodwill ambassador of Nigeria. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
The presidency on Tuesday declared that the ongoing probe of the acting chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Ibrahim Magu, is an affirmation that nobody under the present administration is above scrutiny. According to facts made available to State House correspondents by a source in the presidency, the interrogation of the anti-graft boss is to give him the opportunity to clear himself of the weighty allegations. The source maintains that the investigation of the EFCC boss reinforces the Buhari administration's commitment to transparency and accountability, but assures that the administration will not prejudge anyone as it can be counted on to uphold justice and fairness. The panel investigating allegations against acting EFCC chairman had been sitting for some weeks now. Heading to the National Assembly now, sexual predators in the tertiary institutions risk 14 years imprisonment as Senate passes the Sexual Harassment Bill 2020. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nko reports.
It was the first plenary of the week, and the report of the Senate Committee on Judiciary human rights and legal matters on the bill against sexual exploitation in tertiary institutions topped the scale of bills scheduled for consideration. Senate's intervention towards checking this crime reached its climax as the bill to criminalize the offense with severe punishment passes third reading.
That the introduction of this bill is a welcome development
is to make sure that we protect the student in the tertiary institution.
We want our tertiary institutions to be very, very important, very safe and peaceful learning environments.
Clause 7 of the bill seeks to make the crime a strict liability. What this means is that an adult who was raped will be treated as a minor, relieving her of the burden of proof. But that received divergent opinions.
It should be deemed a strict liability offense, in which case the prosecution is no longer required to prove the mens rea.
If you take the extreme, for instance, case of deliberate blackmail, which is a possibility. It's not on all the cases of sexual harassment that we found the ladies all the time correct. You must prove there's actual sexual intercourse or demand for that sex.
The bill to repeal the Police Act 2004 and to reenact the Police Act 2020 for a more responsive and responsible police force was also passed.
That the police abide, enforce certain constitutional provisions, particularly fundamental rights of persons in police custody under Chapter 4 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. 5
bills passed first reading. These include the Institute of Risk and Disaster Management Establishment Bill. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives is seeking the establishment of special courts to handle rape and other gender violence-related offences. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports on this and other issues at plenary Tuesday.
Following a motion from Representative Idem Uime, House members were concerned that an average of 5 cases of rape per day between January and May 2020 were recorded by the Nigeria police. The special courts for offenders will fast-track administration of justice.
The federal government should, without delay, launch a national campaign against rape and gender-based violence. The campaign which should include advocacy, public sensitization, and social mobilization.
The House also passed a resolution to investigate alleged flouting of presidential directive on the suspension of the management of Nigeria's Social Insurance Trust Fund by the Minister of Labour, while a call on the Niger Delta Development Commission to intervene and reconstruct the Ikotek-Benue Bridge, considering its economic relevance in the region, was adopted. A motion from Deputy Minority Leader Ndude Lumelu alleging that NNPC tampered with NLNG funds is to be investigated.
NNPC, who represent the government of Nigeria on the board of LNG, had unilaterally, without the required consultation with the state and mandatory appropriation from the National Assembly, illegally tampered with the funds of LNG dividend account to the tune of $1.05 billion.
Other features at plenary include the passing at second reading of 5 bills. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Away from the National Assembly now, the Nigerian government will soon roll out a comprehensive master plan that will cater for juveniles in the nation's criminal justice system. This was announced at a joint briefing held by the Minister of Justice and the Chief Judge of the FCT High Court on the activities of the Presidential Committee on Decongestion and Reform of Correctional Centers. Femi Okeo reports.
On the 1st of June 2017, Nigeria's Federal Executive Council directed the creation of a special presidential committee to decongest and reform the nation's prisons, as it was then known. This committee was inaugurated on the 17th of October 2017 under the chairmanship of the Chief Judge of the FCT High Court, Justice Ishaq Bello. And so now, for the last 3 years, the committee has gone around 18 states of the Federation, visited 39 correctional centers, and released 7,813 inmates. Given an update of the impact of the Presidential Committee on the nation's correctional and criminal justice system, Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation said more fundamental are the recommendations of the committee, which have resulted in both legislative and executive interventions that have improved the nation's correctional and custodial systems. Both the minister and the chairman of the Presidential Committee said in view of their importance to the nation's future, juveniles in the nation's criminal justice system need to be particularly cared for through a comprehensive master plan which is about to be rolled out.
The committee is indeed a blessing. Its recommendations as they arise are being factored into legal framework by way of legislations that will now see to it that the circumstances associated with juveniles are indeed adequately addressed as well.
The master plan we have in the FCT is to have a sophisticated family court where you have within a window for reintegration between these young ones and their family members.
In the words of the Solicitor General of the Federation, Dayo Akpata, passion and vision have been the driving force behind the success of the project so far. And these are qualities that are now more needed as we go into the next phase of the project, which is the rehabilitation of juveniles. In Abuja, Femi Okewu, NTA News.
Now talking politics, the All Progressives Congress has inaugurated the party's screening and appeal committees for Ondo State governorship aspirants. Secretary of the Caretaker and Extraordinary Convention Committee of the party, Senator John Akpan Udoedege, presided over the event and urged members of the committees to be focused and uphold the principle of fair conduct in the discharge of their duties, as the task before them is so dear to the party.
In the context, we can assure you that the aspirants who have indicated interest to fly the flag of our party in the Ondo governorship election will be subject to the same fair, credible, and transparent standards in the nomination process. Kindly note that your action in this regard could either make or mar the party's image. So I urge you to proceed in the strength of your mandates.
We will do our jobs diligently, transparently, and to the benefit and upliftment of the All Progressives Congress.
The screening and appeal committees have 9 members each, expected to screen 12 APC aspirants ahead of the party's governorship primary election scheduled to hold on the 20th of July 2020. And still in Ondo State, the House of Assembly has received an impeachment notice on the state's Deputy Governor, Agbola Ajayi, who recently defected to the PDP from the governing party in the state. The House has therefore set up a panel of inquiry to investigate allegations of misconduct leveled against the Deputy Governor for fair hearing. Olubukola Aduwo takes it up from there.
The Ondo State House of Assembly, which had been on recess since May 21st, reconvened Tuesday with full membership of the House. The only item on the other paper was to serve impeachment notice on the state Deputy Governor, Agbola Ajayi. However, only Ondo State government allowed to cover the
For those not infected line of duty, rest assured that government will do all it takes to support you and your families during this exceedingly difficult period. I will also take this opportunity to assure you all that your safety, well-being, and welfare remains paramount to our government. I am using this opportunity to express our deepest condolences to the families of all Nigerians that have lost their loved ones as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. This is our collective loss, and we share your grief.
What a joyful noise! Sounds like something we've been waiting for. It's a good feeling. Hooray! The Nigerian skies have reopened for business. The Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA, welcomes you back on board. As we fly again, feel confident. NCAA is working closely with airlines, airport operators, relevant health authorities, and all stakeholders to make air transport services safe and customer-focused. But we urge you to please take responsibility. Let's keep coronavirus at bay. Whether you're a passenger, service user, or service provider, wear a face mask. Maintain social distance. Observe all COVID-19 guidelines on ground and on board. NCAA says it's safe to fly again, so we're good to go. Remember, at Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, we always have your back. Fly safe, stay safe. NCAA, ensuring safety and efficiency in air transport and navigation.
This kind of nonsense has to end today. Why would the bank be removing somebody's money every time like that?
Mr. John.
My neighbor.
Yes, sir. Why you rush you to like this?
Can you imagine? I just sent money to my son, and I got a debit alert of 15 naira from my bank as stamp duty. I am going to seek explanation from my bank because I made a transfer, not post a letter.
Mr. John. Let me explain what stamp duty is. Stamp duty is not all about postage stamp matters. The 15 naira is a stamp duty levy charged by banks on customers who make transfers of 10,000 naira and above from one bank account to another bank account.
And why should I pay stamp duty for my hard-earned money?
Mr. John, paying stamp duty levy is a civic duty for every patriotic citizen. The taxes we all pay are collected and used by the government to pay salaries and provide basic amenities for citizens. It's even easier to make stamp duty payments now. All you need to do as a taxpayer is to log on to the following: www.stampduty.gov.ng or www.firs.gov.ng and click on e-stamping. By the way, Mr. John, it pays to pay your tax, you know.
Oh, thank you very much.
Sir.
Thank you, my daughter.
You're welcome,
My
sir.
regards to your family.
All right, sir.
This broadcast is powered by FIRS, Federal Inland Revenue Service.
You see, as I talk to you plenty now, because I get glow too, I make me they talk. Please, I be not be so. All right. Don't be say I won't talk plenty. Una no self say I not they lie. You see this glow? If you get them, una no go even una go just they talk they go because it's not there.
Enjoy international calls from as low as 40 kobo per second from Nigeria to the world. Call your loved ones today.
Thank you, my sister. You do well, eh?
Glow Unlimited.
Today on Happy Clean Nigeria Mission, we visit Mrs. Johnson live in Lagos. Helen Paul. Hello, madam. Would you like to join us on this mission?
Yes, but how?
Just one question for you. How do you keep your toilet clean?
I use regular detergent and bleach for washing and removing yellow stains. I have been using it for years.
Oh, madam, the regular detergents and bleach are used for washing clothes. To clean your toilet properly, you need Harpic 10X. It is specially made for stains in the toilet. Harpic Thick formula settles on stains and gives 10 times better cleaning compared to regular detergents and bleach.
Wow, now I'm convinced, Helen Paul.
Really?
Yeah.
Now
to you by Access Bank and Bye-Bye Jebu.
Good to have you back. The Imo State Governor, Hope Uzodimma, is urging the Ohanese Indigbo to support federal government's effort towards the development of the Southeast region. He made this known to journalists in the Government House, Owerri, after a visit by the President General of the Social, cultural, cultural organization, Bright Ebocho, reports.
'Cause 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 'cause
The members of Ohaneze Ndibo were received by the Imo State Governor, Hope Uzodimma, at a routine consultative meeting geared towards seeking ways of collaboration with the federal government in the drive to develop the Southeast region. Governor Uzodimma, while addressing journalists after the closed-door meeting, described the visit by the Apex Igbo Socio-Cultural Group as fruitful. He notes that among other things, it was agreed that the Southeast states need to work together with the federal government in the overall interest of the region, as such move will enhance the peace, unity, and development of the country.
Ohaneze is really favorably disposed to Igbo unity and indeed Nigerian unity. And that we have also agreed that Ndibo as a people and Southeast as a region must hook to the national grid and work and support all federal government policies.
Members of the group were led by their President General Nnayanwodo to the meeting in Owerri. Bright Ebuchu, NTA News.
In other news, the Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, says the ministry regrets the disagreement between the National Assembly Joint Committee on Labour and the Minister of State for Labour over the 774,000 public works scheme. The minister was speaking when he led management of the ministry on a dialogue with Senate leadership and chairmen of the National Assembly Joint Committee on Labour. He explained that the creation of jobs for Nigerians is a collective venture and shouldn't have created such a heated atmosphere.
Request that we forgive and forget. Let us turn a new page and start off on this program, which National Assembly had indicated that is suspended.
Supervise the ND, because as a minister, your job now is to be on the neck of ND to give you their program, how they intend to go about it. You supervise the implementation, not the implementation itself. Ours, by design, by the constitutional arrangements, is to ensure that we do oversight.
President of the Senate also granted audience to a delegation from Abia Elders of Thought who visited to thank the Senate on the solidarity shown to the Chief Whip of the Senate, Senator Orji Uzor Kalu, during his incarceration. Now, looking at issues related to the pandemic, Brazilian president tests positive for coronavirus and Melbourne returns to a complete lockdown as infections surge. Joyce Amatu has details of these and more on the pandemic.
The Nigerian Center for Disease Control and CDC on Monday officially confirmed 5 cases of coronavirus in Cross River State. Cross River before now was the only Nigerian state without any confirmed case of the virus. Meanwhile, Lagos State remains the epicenter of COVID-19 in Nigeria, recording a total of 11,367 cases, while Zamfara State has not reported any new case in over 1 month. The NCDC said Nigeria now has a total of 29,286 cases, 11,828 discharged, and 654 deaths recorded in all 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. Data compiled by the Africa Center for Disease Control shows 497,385 cases continent-wide, 11,710 deaths, and 240,380 recoveries. Out of these numbers, South Africa accounts for more than 200,000 cases, the highest in Africa. Health Minister Zweli Makize said another lockdown is possible. In the meantime, the Education Ministry in Kenya announced on Tuesday that primary and secondary school students will resume in 2021. Away from Africa, more than 5 million residents of Melbourne in Australia will be locked down for 6 weeks after coronavirus cases surged in the city. And Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro has tested positive for coronavirus shortly after the presidential palace said he had been displaying symptoms of the disease. Bolsonaro, whose country has suffered one of the world's worst COVID-19 outbreaks, has consistently downplayed the threat of the virus. Statistics published by Worldometer as at 6 p.m. reveal that 11,818,564 people globally have now been diagnosed with COVID-19 and 542,818 have died. And that's it from here. Many thanks for watching. I am Joyce Ometu.
Thank you to Joyce. Now, Bauchi State will soon put generic and infectious. Ibn Ahmed reports that the Tertiary Education Trust Fund has already provided all the equipment required in the test center.
Situated within the Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University Teaching Hospital, Bauchi, the Molecular Genetic and Infectious Disease Laboratory, when inaugurated, will also carry out tests on HIV and AIDS.
We are prepared. What we're waiting for now is NCDC presence to actually certify that the lab is the testing capacity here in this lab. We should be able to test at least 300 samples in a day.
We are not only looking at it as a COVID-19 lab as a university. We are looking at it as a research lab. So we are not after COVID-19. This lab will continue to exist.
To the government of Bauchi State, it is a milestone that will strengthen service delivery.
So we are very happy we are coming out as a state. The federal government is giving the required attention through its agencies, and I must thank the management and staff of the university and the teaching hospital, and indeed our health workers for doing this because it is a collaboration.
Governor Bala Muhammad therefore warned people of Bauchi to adhere to all safety protocols as outlined by the Nigeria Center for Disease Control. In Bauchi, Mahmoud Ibn Muhammad, NTA News.
And from Bauchi, we head to Abeokuta, where the management of the Federal Medical Center has debunked media reports alleging that medical personnel of the facility who tested positive to COVID-19 were allowed to continue working in breach of safety guidelines. Hakim Jimo was at a press conference addressed by the hospital to set the record straight.
About a week ago, the management of the Federal Medical Center, Abeokuta, issued a statement informing members of the public that 8 of its medical personnel involved in the treatment of a pediatric COVID-19 patient have tested positive to the virus. However, many woke up to the media report in a national newspaper alleging that the hospital manipulated the test results of the affected medical personnel and kept them at their duty posts in violation of standard protocol. Addressing a press conference to debunk the media report, the medical director of the hospital, Professor Adewale Musa Olomu, who was represented, said the hospital always accord much premium to the safety of staff and patients, and as such would not allow any infected member of staff to return to work against protocol.
There's no way the management of FMC could have allowed a member of staff that has tested positive to continue to work, because that would have endangered the lives of everyone, including the medical director, myself sitting here, and every other person within the hospital.
While cautioning journalists against inaccurate and imbalanced report, the MD urged them to always seek necessary clarifications from established channel of communication in the facility before publishing any piece of information. Professor Olomu commended the efforts of the federal government at containing the spread of the virus and encouraged Nigerians to always adhere to all safety measures put in place by government.
Let's now talk about flying. As the aviation industry gets set to resume domestic flights, correspondent Mitari Ikben takes us through some of the new normal at the airports. This is from his experience during the test flight from Abuja to Lagos recently with members of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 and some journalists.
With the coronavirus pandemic still raging, departure formalities for the Abuja to Lagos test flight revealed that the first step for intending air passengers on arrival at the departure terminal is hand washing. For this reason, hand-washing points have been provided at major airports in the country, as seen here at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja. Should there be high passenger traffic, there will certainly be a queue for hand-washing. Spots have been marked on the floor at various contact points to enable social distancing, while temperature checks and hand sanitizing are mandatory for passengers before even gaining access into the departure hall. Of course, the use of face mask is compulsory. The deployment of interactive robots to profile passengers at the departure terminal of the Abuja airport is another measure to reduce person-to-person contact. Transparent plastic bags are available for personal belongings of passengers as they go through security checks. And at the boarding gate, passengers are required to pull down the face mask for easy identification, while sanitizing their hands at every point. Boarding a flight is now a totally new and different experience altogether, as the processes of hand washing, being on the queue to observe social distancing to board the aircraft are quite time consuming and would definitely require passengers to be at the airport in good time, hours before their flight.
3 hours before our flight for local flights, so that all of the protocols can be done and we're able to depart on time.
This test flight to Lagos also revealed that some seats will be left vacant for social distancing inside the aircraft, with fresh concerns on whether commercial airlines will increase airfare to break even.
Let's wait till that time. If government has increased its passenger service charge, so it's going to tweak the tickets to an extent.
After arriving in Lagos and inspecting similar facilities, the PTF was confident that gradual reopening of the aviation sector can commence based on its assessment of safety protocols at the nation's major airports.
A lot of the measures you've seen here are measures that are already being taken up by other airports internationally, and we cannot be left behind.
There must be issue of monitoring. There must be issue of supervision and to ensure compliance.
Already, the Minister of Aviation has announced that domestic flights will commence in Abuja and Lagos airports on the 8th of July, while Port Harcourt, Kano, Owerri and Maiduguri airports will follow suit on the 11th of July. Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
Let's now talk security. The Nigerian Air Force says it has recorded tremendous successes in the fight against armed bandits in Sokoto State. Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, disclosed this while monitoring the ongoing Operation Air Interdiction in the state. Abdurrahman Usman Jibrila has the report.
For many years, people of eastern parts of Sokoto State have suffered series of bandits' attacks, which had resulted in loss of lives and property, with some villages being deserted. To tackle these security issues, the Nigerian Air Force launched a series of operations aimed at restoring peace in the areas affected by banditry in the northwest and north-central states of the country. Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar, said he is in Sokoto to assess the progress of the ongoing anti-banditry operations in the state, with a view to ensuring the execution of both air interdiction and close air support mission. He expressed satisfaction with the successes so far recorded in airstrikes against the armed bandits.
Try to see as much as possible that we keep our presence so that we'll have a very secure, not only Sokoto State, but the whole of Northwest.
While appealing for support from the public, the Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar, charged officers and men of the force deployed to the state to be serious with the mission to flush out all bandits in Sokoto State. Abraham Usman Jibrila, NTA News.
The recent establishment of the Nigerian Army Special Camp in Faskari, Katsina State, will improve the deteriorating security situation in the area. This was the view of residents of Faskari as they received the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tuku Burtai, who was on a courtesy visit to the district head of the area. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa brings us details.
For some time now, bandits have disrupted farming and other socioeconomic activities in Faskari and neighboring communities in Katsina State. To stem this tide, the Nigerian Army established a super camp in Faskari in addition to injecting more platforms to ongoing Operation Hadarindaji to rapidly respond to security threats in the area and other troubled communities in the northwest Nigeria.
We are very much concerned.
Chief of the Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, said the launching of Exercise Sahel Sanity will enhance the war against banditry in the region.
Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief has directed us to bring to an end this insecurity in all parts of the country.
This good news and sense of security created by the Army Chief's visit attracted sons and daughters of the community to the palace of the district head of Faskari.
Let me use this opportunity to assure you and your men that the people of Faskari will support you morally and in their prayers during the military operation you are about to embark upon.
This is the first time Chief of the Army Staff is visiting the agrarian community, and the people believe that the visit will address the current security challenge in the area. From Faskari in Katsina State, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
We head to Benue State now, where a total of 8 bodies have been recovered so far out of the 21 that died in the Sunday boat mishap in River Benue. Police Public Relations Officer Sewese Anene, who confirmed this, says recovery effort for the remaining bodies is still ongoing. Moses Alawu reports.
On Sunday, a boat conveying 23 persons across the River Benue to Ijaha community, a suburb of Makurdi, the Benue State capital, capsized with only 8 out of the passengers on board rescued so far. The Benue State Police Public Relations Officer, Sewese Anene, has appealed to members of the public to remain calm as the police, marine force and other stakeholders battle to recover the remaining bodies.
It is advised to put on your protective gadgets so that at least you can float for a while, pending when they will be rescued.
Since Sunday, when the accident was reported, rescue operation has been ongoing, leading to the rescue of 2 survivors in the accident and subsequent recovery of 8 bodies of the victims. Rhoda Bolos is a mother who has 5 children in the Sunday boat accident.
Now God give me. I no go question God.
Ronan Vincent also had 3 of her siblings in the boat mishap.
When we went to Ijaha, we saw only 1 corpse that he found. We stayed there till 10 o'clock. There was no hope, so we just came back home.
Meanwhile, Governor Samuel Otom has described the incident as painful and unfortunate and prayed God to console members of the families, particularly the Ekan Church. In Makudi, Ode Moses Ajao, NTA News.
In other news, the Court-Martial Federal Road Safety Corps, Bubuyi Oyemi, has commended the governor of Zamfara State, Bello Mohammed Matawali, for his commitment towards the eradication of road traffic crashes in the state. The governor donated 2 Ford Rangers to the Zamfara State Sector Command of the Corps. Corps Public Education Officer Bisi Kazim said the Court-Martial expressed his appreciation over the donation, commending the governor's love for the safety of all road users. He said the vehicles will motivate the Corps personnel to put in their best in saving lives on the road. We head to Lagos now, where Dotun will bring us more news. Dotun?
Thank you, ERA. Following the announcement of the partial closure of the Third Mainland Bridge for maintenance work scheduled to commence from the 24th of July 2020, officials of the Federal and State Ministry of Works have issued traffic advisory to guide motorists and prevent gridlock. This was disclosed at a media briefing by the Federal Ministry of Works in Lagos. The Third Mainland Bridge is critical to socio-economic activities in Lagos, and this might not be unconnected with the interest generated whenever information about the bridge appears on social and mainstream media, whether positive or negative. The latest news on the Third Mainland Bridge has received the usual reactions following the announcement of an intending closure of the stretch for repair works, similar to same procedure in 2009 and 2012. The closure is to enable construction workers undertake repair works on sections highlighted during an integrity test carried out in 2018.
We know that it's going to bring
some discomfort to host negotiation. But this is the right time to do it. We don't want the bridge to collapse, and we still want the serviceability to be sustained.
We have been talking to the Lagos Ferry Service. We want to prioritize the route, especially from Ikorodu going to Marina.
Motorists are advised to ply these alternative routes. 1. From Kata Bridge through Ido, through Oyinbo, to join Adekule Ramp inward Oboronshoki. 2. From Ijoro Lokba through Western Avenue to Ikorodu Road.
I just want to plead with members of the public that the issue of enforcement is going to be fully emphasized on.
The ministry says traffic management officials would be on ground to ensure compliance as well as traffic diversion signs. In line with the rules outlined by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, the West African Examination Council WAEC has confirmed the new date for the commencement of the 2020 West African Senior School Certificate Examination. Head of Nigerian National Office of WAEC, Patrick Aregan, affirms that all COVID-19 protocols will be applied across all examination centers. Ken Ibeluge reports.
The West African Senior School Certificate Examination, earlier scheduled for May-June this year, was postponed due to the COVID-19 safety restrictions, which forced virtually all sectors to shut down, suspending most activities. This is why the annual examination will now hold beginning from the 3rd of August and terminate on the 5th September. This development comes as cheering news to students.
We were so happy, even though it is mixed, we have mixed emotions that by August we'll start our work and be done in September. It's really exciting knowing that we'll finally be done with SS3 and be done with secondary school and graduates.
Now that I know when the exam is, at least we'll be more serious. We'll go back to the revisions and we pray to God to give us the best so that we'll pass the exam well.
The head of WAEC Nigerian office outlined requirements that must be in place at all centers for the successful conduct of the examination.
Schools must provide water buckets with running water or taps with running water, soaps, hand sanitizers, and thermometer hand gun to check the temperature of all concerned. All examination functionaries, including the council staff on distribution, supervisors, invigilators, inspectors, candidates and school officials will be required to wear face masks, wash and sanitize their hands daily and throughout the duration of the examination.
A total of 1,549,463 registered students will sit for the 2020 WAEC examination in Lagos. Ken Igbeluge, NTA News.
And that's it from here. Network News continues.
Unlimited.
Your hogs are a comfy place for dropping in, for lazing around, and hanging out. So we've designed our hugs to be just as comfy, with a soup-absorbent core to lock wetness away, and a soft, flexible waistband. Our most comfortable diaper keeps baby comfy at every angle. We'll never stop finding new ways to hug more like you. Huggies, your hugs inspire ours.
Nigerians, let us take responsibility. Stay healthy, stay safe, and curb the spread of the virus. Take responsibility. The coronavirus spreads from one person to another. Let us avoid crowd gathering of any kind for any reason. Take responsibility. Avoid traveling from one state to another during these lockdown restrictions. Obey all the rules that are put in place. Take responsibility. Stop spreading fake news and unverified reports about the coronavirus. There is no known cure for COVID-19. Take responsibility. Observe all the measures that can help stop the spread of the virus. Together, we can do this, but only if we take responsibility. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network. We have observed the lockdown. We have practiced the measures in order to curb the spread of the virus, but we can do better. The coronavirus spread is increasing daily, and only together can we cut down the numbers and defeat the spread of the virus. Remember, COVID-19 is not a death sentence, and a recovered patient cannot spread the disease. Do not stigmatize. Do not hesitate to report any case or if you have come in contact with anybody that has been infected with COVID-19. If you have cough and fever, please stay at home and call your state hotline. Find state numbers at www.covid19.ncdc.gov.ng. Remember, it is for your own good and for the good of every Nigerian. Let us do better and defeat the virus. Together, we can do this. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.
Thank you for staying. As Nigeria makes efforts at making the country food sufficient, investors in the formal and informal sectors are coming up with different approaches to ensuring that this is achieved. One of such investors is GB Foods, and Joseph Johnson brings us details of the company's intervention.
Yes, both public and private sectors have continued to explore ways to diversify the Nigerian economy and create sustainable growth and economic development, with specific emphasis on Nigeria's agricultural sector. To accelerate this transition, GB Foods, a global leader in culinary product manufacturing, in partnership with the Central Bank of Nigeria, Kebbi State Government, and the Emirate of Yauri, have established the second largest tomato processing factory in Nigeria and the only fully backward integrated plant in ECOWAS, which has the largest single tomatoes farm in Nigeria. The factory and industrial farm complex is worth 20 billion naira and was built in Gaski local government area in Yauri Emirate, Kebbi State. It holds the capacity to process over 4 billion fresh tomatoes into paste per season. The output of the factory is expected to cover some of GB Foods' Nigeria concentrate processing needs and operates with global best practice standards, leveraging technology transferred and experience gathered from over 40 years of operations in a similar sector in Italy and Spain. GB Foods' investment on this plant proves the company's commitment to improve communities where it operates, as it will increase employment and create over 1,000 jobs. The establishment of this gigantic plant is GB Foods' way of ensuring food security, local production and processing, as well as contributing to accelerating the advent of sustainable economic diversification and meeting the needs of consumers in Nigeria.
Let's now join Mohammed Ibrahim in Maiduguri for more news.
Thank you, Henry, and welcome to Maiduguri. 1,200 less privileged persons in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital, have benefited from free medical outreach and distribution of palliatives courtesy of 7th Division Operation Lafia Dole in commemoration of this year's Nigeria Army Day celebration, NATCEL. Abubakar Mohamed Musa reports.
The distribution of palliatives and free medical outreach, which consists of surgeries, administration of drugs, and other forms of medical services by the 7th Division Operation Lafia Dole, are part of activities lined up to mark the 2020 Nigerian Army Day celebration, NATCEL, following the Chief of Army Staff Directive. Ex-servicemen and persons of concern were specifically selected to benefit from the exercise, who all expressed appreciation to the Nigerian Army for making them part of the celebration. The occasion provided opportunity for the Army to appraise major successes recorded so far in the theater and the way forward.
We simply want to improve on our civil-military relationship. We want to show the larger that we have a human face. The Army is not just about operations. Maiduguri, Borno State is much, much better than it was 5 years ago. I know we still have some way to go, but nobody can say that we've not had a significant improvement.
Nigerian Army Day celebration, NATCEL, is being held annually across the country. In Maiduguri, Abubakar Mohamed Musa, NTA News.
It was a deliberate move to sanitize the operations of commercial tricycle, also known as keke napep, that Borno State government embarked on registration of owners and riders. The exercise, when completed, would provide basis for enforcement of compliance to social distancing against spread of COVID-19 in commercial vehicles and other unlawful practice by the tricycle operators. Here is an update. Regulating commercial vehicle operations and ensuring compliance to laws guiding such practice informed government's decision to initiate the registration exercise. Various concerns came up with criminalities that were traced to the keke napep, such as robberies, kidnapping, and even recklessness on the road, which this month-long biometric data capture seeks to address. 4 registration points in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital, have so far captured about 11,000 out of the estimated 35,000 commercial tricycles operating in the metropolis in the last 10 days.
As at this week, like today, sincerely speaking, we have not seen a lot of the keke napep riders because we are capturing both riders and owners.
The state government is optimistic that at the end of the biometric exercise, there will be a comprehensive data.
We are anticipating the passage of the Borno State Traffic Management Agency bill, which will enable us to recruit at least some road marshals to checkmate and arrest.
He called on those concerned to register, as unregistered tricycles will not be allowed to ply the roads after the registration. That is it from this end. Is back to Henry in Abuja.
Thank you, Mohammed. The Chief of Staff to Kwara State Governor, Aminu Adisa Logun, has died. President Buhari has joined the All Progressives Congress, APC, government and people of Kwara State in mourning the passing of a man he describes as a dedicated public officer while condoling with the Kwara State government and the Ilorin Emirate. The president prays Allah to forgive the soul of the deceased, reward his good deeds with paradise, and grant his family the fortitude to bear the loss. And that's Network News tonight. Many thanks for being a part of it. Good night.